check to see which members were present. We do have more than a quorum present, so we are able to conduct full business today.
Fantastic. Next, can we move to the minutes for January 13th? Is there maybe a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second,
Motion.
Mayor Center.
Second by Center. Is that correct?
Second by Mayor Center, yes.
May I have a vote? All those in favor, raise your hand, wave, thumbs up, something. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, I have a report from the chairman with financial report for Debbie. Or no, wait, did I skip over James? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just going to mention that Mayor Stutzman couldn't join us today due to a meeting. He didn't file any sort of other chair's report. And so we're honored to have Commissioner Wyrick be our chair for today. So that would conclude the chair's report.
That is the chair's report. I have no report. So the financial report, Debbie, do you have any for us?
All right, financial report. You all should have received the financials for December of 2020. Our year-to-date expenses for the fiscal year are $2,683,763.87. Our cash balance at the end of December was $2,163,912.27. And our disbursements for the month of December was $466,119.94. Are there any questions? If not, I'd like to ask for board approval of the December 2020 financial report.
Commissioner Griner, move to approve.
Second, Lori Hammond.
Great, may I have a vote, please? Again, if you are in favor, please wave your hand, raise, send a smile emoji, something. If you are opposed, please let me know. Seeing no opposition, motion carries. Next, we have the secretary report. Carrie Groniger, sorry.
Yeah, Secretary here. Would like to remind you guys, the member packets and posted online, you'll find the administrative modifications that were sent out this month. These are all minor changes that the staff made to the TIF since the last time we met. There's no action needed, just information update there.
Any questions for our secretary? Great. Do we have any old business, James?
We do not have old business today.
All right, but we do have some new business.
We do, and Ryan will be doing a presentation of Resolution 521, which is in the Fort Wayne district. So I'll turn it over to Ryan.
Muted. I apologize. Yes, Resolution 521 is in Elkhart County, and it is the addition of funds for their right-of-way phase on County Road 40. This is just east of Wakarusa. The road is heavily trafficked by the Amish community, and they are basically planning on a safety improvement here as well as the reconstruction to eliminate incidents with the Amish community. So if there are any questions, I can take those now. Otherwise, I'd ask for your approval on Resolution 521.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Fleming, was that yes? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Second.
Second, Mayor Center.
Thank you. Again, may I have a vote and an affirmation? Please wave, thumbs up. Fantastic. Any opposition? And Mandy, I appreciate your comments. That's also helpful because I can't see everybody. So the motion carries. Next, we have Resolution 621. James?
Yeah, so the next set of resolutions are all related to a grant program called Section 5310. FTA is not the most exciting agency when it comes to marketing their grants or naming them. So this is named after a federal section. But Section 5310 is essentially grants that are provided to either nonprofits or municipalities related to providing services to individuals with disabilities or that are seniors. And so each year in the non-urbanized areas or the smaller urbanized areas, INDOT administers a call for projects for Section 5310. And so all of the nonprofits and then the municipalities that provide these services that are interested in applying, they then submit their applications to us to see if they are consistent with the Coordinated Human Services Transportation Plan. So Resolution 621 is a little different. We have had this resolution before this board in previous years. The reason it's different is that when a municipality applies for Section 5310 funds, they have to have a resolution from a governing board like this that they are the coordinator of transportation services for elderly persons or individuals with disabilities in their area. They will have checked with nonprofits and confirmed that they are that kind of coordinator of services. So if you're not familiar, the city of Napanee, one of their functions that they serve is operating Elder House, which provides services to senior citizens, and they provide transportation services. So whenever the city of Napanee has applied for 5310, we first have to do this resolution, which says that they are the coordinator, because they'll need that since they're a municipality. And then in the subsequent resolution will actually be what they're applying for. So Resolution 621 is asking for your endorsement that Napanee is the coordinator of transportation services for the elderly or persons with disabilities in the Napanee area. I can answer any questions related to that. This has been a resolution that's come before this board before and has passed in the previous times it's come before this board.
Hearing no questions, may I have a motion of support?
Commissioner Groninger, move to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fleming. Again, may I have a nice little wave or some smiles for approval? Great, thank you. Any opposition? Wonderful, motion carries. Do we want to take the next two resolutions together or leave them separate?
Resolution 721 and Resolution 821 are both Section 5310 applications. I think they could be combined as one.
Sounds great. Tiara?
So Tiara was going to present those if Tiara's on the line.
Yes, I am. Hello. So yes, Resolution 7-21 is for the endorsement of Elder House Senior Center, looking to procure one low floor minivan to expand their fleet and to help accommodate the individual needs of their community by supplying them with transportation to accommodate both medium and small sized groups. Resolution 8-21 is for the endorsement of Riverview Adult Day Health Center. They are also looking to procure one low floor minivan to help better assist them with the transport of individuals that utilize their transportation services. If there are no questions, I will ask for your approval of Resolution 7-21 and Resolution 8-21.
So moved, Mayor Center.
Second, Commissioner Groninger.
May I have a vote again, please? Any opposition? Looks great. Motion 720, Resolution 721 and 821 both pass. We have a staff update from James about Corona.
Yes, so I wanted to make you aware because many members may have heard either through your technical staffs because we've provided them with an update, or you may have heard through kind of other organizations that you're a part of, whether it's NACO, the National Association of Counties, whether it's NLC or AIM or others. In the second COVID relief funding appropriation, there, which is called the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation, there were funds that were provided to transportation. The funds that were provided to transportation totaled about $10 billion. That then is appropriated to each of the states for their use. And in Indiana, I believe that was about $236 million. Just so you have a reference, the annual program at INDOT is, I believe, about 230. I think it's usually about $1 billion program. But Todd or Matt could correct me. So Indiana received about $236 million for the COVID relief. A part of that COVID relief funding is that those funds must be used by September 30th of 2024. And I shouldn't say used, I should say obligated. It is a 100% federal share. But there is a portion of it that was provided at a minimum to what we call the TMAs, the Transportation Management Areas. Those are urban areas that are larger. They're of 250,000 in population or greater. So for our region, that would at a minimum be then the South Bend urbanized area. So South Bend, Mishawaka, and a portion of St. Joe County. What INDOT is currently evaluating is that typically we have a sharing agreement between INDOT, the metropolitan planning organizations, and then kind of the rural program of how funds are divided, and there's a formula for that. And that usually all funds kind of go through that formula, even if they're additional appropriations. The whole concept would be that when additional money comes in, all boats rise. When there's things like rescissions, we all take those cuts together. So INDOT is evaluating who they would be distributing these allocations to. As of right now, it'd just be potentially those TMAs is what they're required to do. But if they do what they have done in the past, say for ARA, which was the Recovery Act during the kind of 2008, 2011 timeframe, that there may be opportunities for those to go to all urban areas and then through the rural program as well. I have had some conversations with INDOT central office staff. They're still making those evaluations, and legal's still reviewing that. But I want to make sure that you're aware that we're looking into trying to understand what local governments will be eligible for that, how those funds might be utilized, because the bill provides quite a number of different ways that those funds could be used. They could be used for preventive maintenance, routine maintenance, but then they could be used for other things like personnel, including salaries, or they could be used for debt service payments, a whole number of different things. We're trying to evaluate with INDOT how those funds could be best utilized and the easiest way to deploy them, because INDOT and Indiana Division of Federal Highway isn't necessarily set up, nor has regular mechanisms to handle, say, appropriations that would be used for local government salaries. What we're trying to do is figure out a way if there is the opportunities to supplement your local road and street, MPH, try and figure out a way to make sure that you wouldn't maybe have to provide match on certain projects over the next few years. That way you could use your more flexible state funds in a more flexible manner rather than trying to use federal funds in a flexible manner and not knowing how State Board of Accounts or other auditing agencies might take to that. all of this is to say I was hoping to have a more firm update for you when we put this on the agenda a few weeks back. But NDOT is still evaluating that, but wanted to make sure that you were aware that we're working on it, we're involved in it, and trying to get those funds to as many local governments as possible to make sure that those COVID funds can be used in the transportation network in our region. So that was the update I had. Would happily take any questions if anyone had them. Hopefully I explained that well enough. But if there are any questions, be happy to take those at this time.
Hey, James. So, I mean, is there a possibility that they might divide that up by population or something like that, or miles of road, or
Sure.
what might be some factors that they might try to divide it up by?
So, if you think about how the normal program works, it goes through a formula that's largely, I think, population based. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but the normal $1 billion program, about 250 million is provided to the MPOs, and about another 250 million is provided to rural areas. What NDOT would do with the rural funds, which would be more for, say, Kosciuszko County, if they decided to make those funds available, they would have a call for projects most likely. And or they would say, Commissioner Groniger, in the next 3 years, you have this bridge project and it's already funded. We are going to, through some different mechanisms, figure out a way that you're not going to have to provide match on that. So they might do it in those kind of mechanisms for the rural areas. If the funds are afforded to the urbanized areas as well, which at a minimum they're required to the TMAs, we would then manage how those funds are distributed, say in the urbanized area at MACOG. So we would have an allocation just like any other year of this is your mark on paper, and then we divide up those funds and work with this board to allocate those funds, and then ensure that those are all obligated by September of 2024. So, if not sooner, obviously we would love to get those out sooner.
Right. I guess my only concern is whether it seems like so much of that gets reallocated around the Indianapolis area and doesn't always make it out to the rural areas. Hopefully it's something that everybody gets a little piece of the pie. So.
Yeah, I would say that I understand that concern. I believe that our region has done a good job of working with those districts, because it's usually the district staffs then and Kathy McCallup's shop who are making those decisions, and that we have a number of federal projects in this area that if they went with the conversion kind of way where you didn't have to provide match, we'd have a number of projects across a number of local public agencies that could take advantage of that. So I would be hopeful if that's the way that they went. But at this point, the only thing that the bill, to my reading, and I'm not a lawyer and I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, but the only thing that the bill says is required is the TMAs. However, that's no different than really any other additional appropriation. So I would hope that we would use past precedent and try and get those funds to as many local governments as possible. But we're kind of in a wait and see mode as NDOT works through that decision right now.
And if there's another option, I think for Elkhart County and based on what I've seen in the other counties, it might also help us if we were given a direct allocation like we were for the rest of the CARES Act money and the rest of the assistance programming. I mean, we have a direct allocation, whether it came from the federal government or through the state. I still am concerned about how they seem to like to require and put attachments to how we use funding if it goes through legislature.
Yeah, it won't go through the legislature per se. This will follow the normal way that transportation funds are allocated on an annual basis it's that normal mechanism. The thing that is just the challenge right now is how to handle this additional appropriation.
Right, but if they're tying it to programs, for instance, that have the match, the new legislation that is put through that controls how we spend our money makes it so communities that only have the wheel tax can access it or access that better funding or the better match.
So that would be that. Let me back up. That would be community crossings, and that is a purely state-funded program. So this would not be that. When I refer to match, I am referring, and that's my fault for not clarifying, I am referring to the federal program with the 80-20 split, not the state program that has community crossings and certain requirements of having an asset management plan and all of those kind of things. I would be referring to the federal program. So I see it more being in that vein, or this would be more administratively burdensome to INDOT and require a lot more time in contracting and all of those things. But INDOT may also open up that they would go and do something along the lines of what we did during ARA, which is doing additional paving kind of work, but under the federal system that was previously done. But I know that was administratively burdensome for INDOT to conduct. So we're just kind of in a wait and see. But this would be much more in the federal system, not in the state programs. Great clarifying question. So that's all the update that I have for this, but expect further information, because at a minimum, we would be having conversations about how we might handle these funds in the South Bend urban, but I'm hopeful that we would also be having conversations about the Elkhart-Goshen urban, and then working with all the rural local governments to access those funds as well.
And any other comments or questions for James? Wonderful. Moving on to grants. Elena?
Good morning. This is Elena. I have a couple grant updates. I will start with Next Level Trails. It was announced towards the end of January that the Indiana DNR is reinstating that round 2 funding for those who had already had an application in. Those were submitted back in November of 2019. They had reached out to the primary contact as listed on the application. So if that may have changed for your community, or if you didn't receive an email from them, please reach out. Their email that they're asking comments to go to is nextleveltrails@dnr.in.gov, and they can help get that sorted out. They also included that there's no plan yet for round 3. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. And as soon as we know more, I will relay that information on to you all. My next update is on the Recreational Trails Program, which is now known as the Indiana Trails Program. The applications are due on March 1st. These are for, this is a grant for trail projects, land acquisition, trail amenities, and it does involve a 20% match, and the maximum award is $250,000. If you're interested in applying, or if would like more information or any assistance with your application, please reach out to me and I'm happy to help. And last but not least, there's a tactical urbanism grant that was just released by the Indiana State Department of Health. These are for the short-term projects, traffic calming. You can see here on the pictures, this was from 2019 when South Bend had done a project around an elementary school. They had added temporary bump outs and a temporary speed bump to help increase the safety of a crossing from the school over to their playground. These applications are due February 25th. They are the maximum award is $10,000, but there's no match required. If you'd like any more information or have any questions, and if you're interested in applying, would like assistance, please reach out to us and we'd love to help.
Are there any questions for Elena? Great. Next, we have the reinstatement of fares on the interurban trolley. Tiara?
Yeah, so beginning on Monday, February 22nd, the Interurban Trolley will be resuming normal fare collections, as well as front door boarding on both its fixed route service and the Interurban Trolley Access service. And just to provide a little bit of recap, so back in March of 2020, in response to COVID-19, the trolley service ceased fare collection and stopped front door boarding on the trolley buses and moved to rear door boarding to better promote social distancing and reduce touch points on the trolley service. And since then, a number of steps have been taken to promote driver and passenger health and safety, which has brought forth the reintroduction of the fares. One of those steps includes the installation of plexiglass and steel barriers that will be going around, that have been actually installed around driver areas on all the buses. This will just help allow passengers to safely interact with the driver and to pay fares at the fare box and still promote that social distancing. In addition, face masks will still be required to be worn by all passengers to stay in accordance with the Elkhart County Health Department ordinance and also the recent federal mandate that was passed early last week. So just wanted to provide that information. And we just released another press release on Monday reinstating all of this information.
Tiara, I missed the date. What date is the fair? What date are the fares going to be reinstated?
Yeah, that'll be Monday, February.
She cut out. February what?
You perfectly cut out right when you were giving the date. So that's Monday, February 22nd.
Thank you.
And we have been alerting the public to this since January. So we
Correct.
feel like we have been trying to give ample amount of notice to make sure that riders are aware that after 10 plus months that fares will be started back up.
Based on routes, are there any opportunities to communicate with manufacturing or place of employment where people are going to and from to let them know to reinforce that the fares are coming?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we have been communicating through major news channels, onboard messaging, our app where riders can find out information in real time, and our social media pages, as well as then passing things out on our access service. But there's probably a few key points where we have major employers where folks are getting on and off, where we could probably reach out to their HRs and see if they could do something as well. So we'll look into that after this.
Thanks. Any other questions for Tiara? All right, James, back to you. Regional disaster recovery.
Yes, just want to make sure that the board was aware of this is an active procurement opportunity that is out right now. So just some context, MACOG received some funding as part of an institutional capacity grant from the Economic Development Administration as part of some of the CARES Act funding. This has been largely utilized for building capacity within our organization as it was intended, one of which was bringing on staff like Brett Roberts, who you all had a chance to meet at our last board meeting. Brett is a new community development planner who will be actively working with your communities on various grant opportunities, as well as then different planning aspects as well. But one of the other things that the Economic Development Administration wanted to see is all of their districts, like MACOG, work on regional disaster recovery and economic resiliency plans. So we have a small allotment of funds that will be used for contractual services, where we will engage with consultants on creating a regional disaster recovery and economic resiliency plan. I believe that procurement, it's out on the street right now. It's been out for a few weeks. Today is the final day to submit questions from consulting parties into that procurement. So we'll see what questions we have. I know we've received a number of interest from a number of different consulting firms. So we're hoping for a really good competitive procurement there. The procurement, the due date for that is March 3rd. So we're hopeful to see a number of folks submit on that. So then after March 3rd, staff will evaluate that. We have a scoring rubric. We'll score the top firm. and work with legal to enter negotiations with that top firm and hopefully get started on that here in this spring. Our next procurement opportunity that is going to be upcoming, it's not out on the street right now, but just making you aware of it, is related to a regional freight mobility plan. Obviously, MACOG does a lot of different transportation plans. One of the areas that we feel like needs some additional attention and that we haven't really done an updated plan that focuses on this topic in quite a while is related to freight movements and freight mobility. So here in probably the end of Q1, we'll be releasing that procurement opportunity to work with consulting parties on a regional freight mobility plan, trying to figure out strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, areas for improvement, where we can focus our transportation dollars on if there are items that could be improved or if there are programmatic things that could be improved for freight mobility. So that'll be upcoming as well. Wanted to make sure that the board was aware of those opportunities as they come out.
So staff has been working on the new production of the biannual tip. This is a tip that will span the years from 2022 to 2026. Currently, I think you all have received a draft tip listing with maps of the locations of the projects that are in the project listing. At the end of this month, we will have a full draft document that we can provide for public comment in March with an open house in mid-March. And we plan to have adoption in April. If anybody has any questions on the tip, or if you've glanced at any of the projects and would like me to go over any of them, I'm open for those questions.
Any questions for Ryan?
Good.
Great, thank you, Ryan.
I did have just another item as a staff update that I wanted to share with everyone. You may have seen that MACOG had an employment opportunity. So we were hiring for a short range planner. If you know our staff, that position is currently Ryan's. Ryan has accepted a new position within our organization as a transportation analyst so that he can work on data analysis and visualization, working on dashboards and working on a number of things related to road condition, safety, and a number of other items, as well as traffic simulations and traffic analysis. So Ryan will be transitioning into that role. Yesterday, I received news, and this is going to be news to staff because in our staff meeting yesterday, I didn't have affirmatives yet, but yesterday I received word from 2 individuals who we had offered job opportunities for that they had both accepted. So we will have some new staff starting in the next few months. One will be our new short range planner. As she finishes up her master's, she'll be starting in May. And then our other one is for a traffic data planner. We had 2 individuals retire over the last last year or so, and we've consolidated their positions into one full-time position. So that traffic data planner will be working with Greg on our traffic data collection programs and a number of other things. So he'll be moving from Toledo and starting in March. So in the coming months, you'll get to meet some new faces as we add them to our staff. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. So that's all of the staff updates for today.
On that same vein, and James, you may have a better view than I do, but I know that Elkhart County has a new council member that is joining MACOG, and I'd like to make sure that we introduced Councilman Doug Graham. I don't know if Doug, you want to say hello, or I can't see you, so I don't know if your video's on.
Yes, Doug is, I was going to mention that Councilman Graham is here. Councilman Graham is a new council member to MACOG, as he represents Elkhart County. And so I've not been able to connect yet to do my onboarding with Councilman Graham. Our schedules didn't quite work out, so I'm hopeful to do that. But I know he is here, so if you wanted to say hello.
Yep, just want to say hello and thanks a lot. I think I finally figured this thing out. I was a little late in joining because I don't particularly care for Zoom meetings, but that's the way of the world today. So it's the first Google meeting I'd done, so I had some technological issues that Susie helped me out with, and I'm sure I'll have to pay for that, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm here to listen and learn. Thanks, welcome. I'm glad to be part of the group.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome aboard. And hopefully, hopefully in the next few months, as if numbers continue to stay where they're at, hopefully in the next few months we can get back to having some hybrid meetings. So we'll continue to assess that as the months go on. So
Great. Anything else for privilege of the floor? Okay, any public comment?
we so during kind of our COVID protocols with all these virtual meetings, what we have asked the public to do is to submit questions in advance of the meeting. We did have one question that came in, I believe largely in response due to our press release related to call for projects. You may have seen that we released based on the board's decisions for projects for out to fiscal year 27, 28. We did release a press release of what those projects were. The individual had a question pertaining to Bendix Drive in South Bend and why it might have a center turn lane in the next phase, and why then a number of streets were being converted to one way in each, or one lane in each direction. So we have just kind of a brief response to that. You may, all of you may have seen that Bendix from the 8090 bridge over by Nims Parkway to Lathrop was recently reconstructed this last year, 2020. That was a federally funded project that we had invested in that converted that 4-lane facility to a largely 3-lane facility with bike and ped kind of facilities. So this next phase that has been selected for construction in 2027 would continue that from Lathrop to Vorty Drive. So first is that it's not guaranteed that a center turn lane will be continuous throughout that entire project. As I mentioned, this is going to construction in 2027. So there will be an entire process towards engineering that and determining what the overall final kind of design will look like. The question was largely in response to the fact that through this next phase, a lot of the property on the west is the airport, and so why would there need to be a center turn lane there? So that'll be evaluated as that project goes on, but kind of in response to why maybe some roads have been converted from 4 to 3 lanes. There are numerous benefits of a 4-lane to 3-lane conversion, which include reduction in crashes, especially decreases in left turn and rear end crashes because of the dedicated center turn lane. Traffic is more predictable because people who are turning left would have that center turn lane instead of stopping through traffic. There's an opportunity, of course, to provide enhancements for, say, bike facilities and or in different areas, parking as well. And then it also regulates speeds and calms traffic. Speeds are more consistent when there's just 1 lane in each direction. So for the majority of 4 to 3-lane conversions, traffic volumes really remain the same. It's not like people deviate from those corridors. They largely stay the same. And studies have suggested for roads with less than 20,000 vehicles per day, which Bendix is usually around 12 to 14, that really congestion is not worsened by those conversions. So in summary, The benefits would include a reduction in crashes, more predictable traffic, no real impacts to congestion, and just an overall improvement to the system by providing additional options for walking, biking, as well as no real impediment to driving. So that would be kind of the response, and we'll be talking with the individual who provided that, but wanted to make sure that it was recorded publicly. So that is the only public comment, though, that we did receive between last meeting and this meeting. So that would conclude our public comment section.
Great, thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor Center, so moved.
Second.
Deb Fleming, second. Mayor, or sorry, who was first?
Mayor Center,
There you go. All right, all in favor, thumbs up. Happy smiley faces, please. Thank you. Any opposed? Everybody have a great day. Hey, James.
Thanks,
can I-
everyone. Have a great day. We'll talk with you.